Hi, I'm Jordan Fairchild with Spruce Creative Studio, and I am here in my home in Durham, North Carolina, to share with you a newly remodeled fireplace that's behind me that I did with my husband.
And I'm Andrew Fairchild, Jordan's partner and resident handyman. I provide the labor to execute Jordan's ideas.
In this series of videos, we'll show you step by step how you too can transform an outdated fireplace into a clean, modern design, all for under $1,000.
So in this first video, we're going to demo the stone hearth in front of the fireplace. We're going to put concrete backer board on top of the subfloor. We're going to take off this wooden mantle and surround around the fireplace. We're going to clean the interior of the fireplace so that it's able to take paint, and then we're actually going to paint the inside of the fireplace. Holy crap.
Yeah, so demo took a little bit longer than expected, but we eventually got the hang of it. A standard 10-pound sledgehammer will do the trick. I'd also recommend wearing goggles given the debris flying around. So here I'm using a pry bar and hammer to separate the mantle and surround from the wall. Go along the length of the fireplace every few inches or so. It took us at least 2 hours, and probably a little bit more than that, to remove all of the concrete and underlying wood.
So we've done our demo and taken the mantle off. Next part involves cleaning the fireplace. First step, just need to take a broom and a brush and get rid of the major pieces of debris in there. Next step, you need to kind of manually get rid of all that caked in soot inside the firebox, which involves taking a wire brush and a scraper. And then finally, you need a degreaser like TSP to get the surface really clean before applying paint. By the end of this, you shouldn't be able to do this with the side. So last night we cleaned the interior and exterior of the firebox with TSP. TSP is just a great degreaser. It'll get rid of any soot and grease on the sides. Basically what you do is you add a little bit to a bowl, add some water, make a paste, apply it to a brush, and use a circular motion to get rid of everything. By the time you're done, you'll be able to wipe your finger and not have any soot behind. Whenever you're working with TSP, you want to use glasses, gloves, and mask, particularly in poorly ventilated areas, as well as long sleeves. We also removed the grates on either side and used a small wire brush to get into those little nooks and crannies. And so now we're ready for paint.
You can't use any regular old spray paint in the firebox because it's not heat resistant. We're using Rust-Oleum high heat matte black spray paint. It can withstand temperatures up to 2,000 degrees.
So we finished spray painting the firebox. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to prep the floor for tile. First step involves placing mortar. I'll show you how to do that, and then we're going to place a cement board on top of the mortar.
Measure the space prior to cutting the concrete board. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch in between adjacent pieces or flooring to allow for expansion. We'll be cutting HardieBacker, which is a brand of concrete board. The concrete board will provide a flat, strong substrate for tile adhesion. These boards come in 3x5 foot sheets and either 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch thick. The one we're using is a 1/4 inch thick. After measuring your cut, use a carbide blade cutter to score the line. The first time you score, press lightly. We'd recommend rescoring at least 4 to 5 more times, if not more, with progressively more force. The more you score, the easier it is to break. When breaking concrete board, put your knee on either side of the scored line and press the board firmly into your knee. So now that these boards are cut, we're ready for mortar. It's recommended that you avoid having four corners touching and that you don't align them with subfloor joints. You also want to have about a 1/8 inch gap between boards and edges. Now we're ready to mix the mortar.
So I'm using this Marshalltown ribbon mud mixer. It's pretty lightweight. It'll fit a 3/8 inch or greater diameter for your drill. I'm able to get away with this one because this is a pretty small area to mortar. But if you have a larger project, you're going to want to use a larger mixer. I'd also recommend charging your drill pretty good because this will draw down the battery pretty quickly.
We're using Custom Building Products Flex Bond Thin Set Mortar. On the back are directions regarding how much water you need to mix in. You want to keep mixing until you get to the consistency of about pancake batter. I'm using a 1/4 by 1/4 inch trowel, which is pretty standard. You want to add enough mortar to fill in the entire space, including the corners. Trowel ridges should run in straight lines and all in the same direction. You have a little less than an hour of working time before it dries. When you place the cement board, slide it around a little bit, which will cause the ridges underneath to collapse and create a tight bond to the board. And as a reminder, ensure a 1/8 inch gap between the boards and the floors. We're using 1 1/4 inch concrete board screws on the 1/4 inch thick hardy backer. If you were using 1/2 inch thick hardy backer, you'd then use 1 5/8 inch screws. You want to space screws 8 inches apart and 2 inches from the corners and edges. Screw in until the screw head is flush with the board. Place screws where boards meet perpendicularly to ensure a 1/8 inch space. Now we're placing 2 inch wide alkali resistant mesh tape over all the joints. Here I'm feathering the joint, which means applying the thinnest possible layer of mortar atop it. Press firmly so mortar settles into the crack. Remove excess with your putty knife. Don't leave a mound of mortar to avoid unlevel tiling. So here's all the joints taped and mortared. In the next video, we'll tackle adding the steel frame and wood mantle.
Here's a list of the products we used in this video. Click on the links below for more videos in this series. Thanks so much for watching. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and my website for more home renovation projects and interior design inspiration.